The Awakening. In the depths of an alien research facility, a stasis pod hummed to life. Its occupant, a relic from a bygone era of human conflict, stirred for the first time in centuries. Commander Sarah Chen's eyes snapped open, her warrior's instincts immediately on high alert despite the disorientation of long-term stasis. The chamber around her was a sterile white, filled with equipment she didn't recognize. Strange, spindly creatures moved about, their large eyes fixed on her with a mixture of fascination and wariness. Chen's mind raced, piecing together her situation with military precision. Subject is conscious. One of the aliens announced, its voice a series of clicks and whistles that Chen's neural implants somehow translated. Vital signs stable, commencing full revival protocol. Chen remained still, feigning grogginess while she assessed her surroundings. Her last memories were of a desperate battle, Earth's forces overwhelmed by an enemy she couldn't quite recall. She had volunteered for a last-ditch mission, agreeing to be placed in stasis until humanity could turn the tide. But this was not what she had expected. "Can you understand us, human?" Another alien approached, this one adorned with intricate markings that suggested a position of authority. "I am Chief Researcher Zixel. You are aboard the Galactic Confederation's premier research vessel, the Nexus of Discovery." Chen's throat was dry, her voice raspy from disuse. Where am I? What year is it?" Zixel's head tilted, an almost bird-like motion. "By your Earth calendar, it is the year 4782. You have been in stasis for over 2 millennia, Commander Chen. Much has changed." The weight of those words hit Chen like a physical blow. 2,000 years. Everyone she had ever known, everything she had fought for, was dust. Yet here she was, awake and apparently the subject of alien research. "Why am I here?" Chen demanded, her voice gaining strength. "What do you want with me?" Zixel's large eyes blinked slowly. "You, Commander, are a fascinating relic of a bygone era. Humanity has long since joined the Galactic Confederation, but specimens like yourself, enhanced soldiers from Earth's tumultuous past, are exceedingly rare. We wish to study you, to understand the pinnacle of human military science from that era." Chen's enhanced muscles tensed, ready for action despite her long slumber. "I'm not a specimen. I'm a soldier of Earth, and I don't consent to being studied." A ripple of excitement passed through the alien researchers. Zixel raised a hand, a calming gesture that transcended species. "Please, Commander, we mean you no harm. Your participation in our research could greatly benefit humanity's standing in the Confederation. Surely, as a soldier, you understand the importance of gathering intelligence." Chen's mind whirled with the implications. If humanity truly was part of this galactic confederation, perhaps cooperation was the wisest course, for now. But years of training and a lifetime of combat experience had honed her instincts. Something about this situation felt off. "I'll consider it," Chen said carefully, "but first I need to know more. About what's happened since my time, about this confederation, and about exactly what kind of research you have in mind." Zixel's expression was unreadable, but Chen sensed a mixture of relief and excitement in the alien's posture. "Of course, Commander. We will provide you with all the information you require. For now, please rest and allow our medical team to ensure your full recovery from stasis." As the aliens bustled around her, checking vital signs and administering various treatments, Chen lay back, her mind racing. She had awakened into a world beyond her wildest imagination, but her purpose remained clear: protect humanity, whatever the cost. The next few days were a whirlwind of information and adaptation. Chen was moved to more comfortable quarters, though she noted the subtle security measures in place. She was given access to historical records, learning of humanity's struggles and triumphs in her absence. The revelation of first contact, the turbulent integration into galactic society, and humanity's current standing as a junior member of the Confederation, it was almost too much to process. Yet through it all, Chen's soldier's intuition nagged at her. The information provided felt curated, the aliens' behavior too carefully measured. As Zixel and his team began their battery of tests, physical examinations, psychological evaluations, tests of her enhanced abilities, Chen played along, all while watching and waiting. It was during one of these tests, a grueling physical endurance trial, that Chen caught her first glimpse of the truth. As she pushed her augmented body to its limits, she overheard a conversation between two junior researchers, their voices low, but picked up by her enhanced hearing. Potential weapon against the swarm, one was saying. If we can replicate this level of enhancement. Quiet, the other hissed. The subject isn't cleared for that information. Chen kept her expression neutral, but inwardly, her mind was afire with questions. A potential weapon. Against what swarm? The pieces were starting to fall into place, and Chen didn't like the picture they were forming. That night, as she lay in her quarters pretending to sleep, Chen made her decision. Whatever was really going on here, whatever plans these aliens had for her, she wouldn't be a passive participant. She was Commander Sarah Chen, one of Earth's finest super soldiers, and she had awakened into a galaxy that needed her. As the facility's lights dimmed for the night cycle, Chen began to plan. She would play along for now, gather more intelligence, and prepare. And when the time was right, she would show these aliens exactly why humanity had survived every challenge it had ever faced. Little did the researchers of the Nexus of Discovery know, but in reviving Commander Sarah Chen, they had set in motion events that would shake the very foundations of their galactic confederation. The age of humanity's subservience was coming to an end, and it would begin with one soldier's defiance: the cosmic chessboard. Commander Sarah Chen stood motionless in the center of a vast spherical chamber. Her body, a marvel of human engineering and sheer willpower, was adorned with an array of alien sensors that pulsed with an eerie blue light. Around her, holographic displays flickered and danced, showing readouts that would baffle even the most advanced human scientists of her time. Commence simulation Omega-7, Zixel's voice echoed through the chamber. The air shimmered, and suddenly Chen found herself standing on what appeared to be the surface of a distant, hostile world. The sky burned an angry red, and the ground beneath her feet trembled with seismic activity. This was the latest in a series of increasingly bizarre and challenging tests. Over the past weeks, Chen had been subjected to simulations that pushed the boundaries of her enhanced physiology and quick-thinking mind. She had navigated asteroid fields with nothing but her bare hands and a primitive thruster pack, outwitted AI systems that were supposedly unbeatable, and even faced off against simulated alien species in diplomatic negotiations. But this was different. As Chen surveyed the hellish landscape, she felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't just a test of her abilities, it was a preview of something real. Your mission, Commander, Zixel's voice crackled through her neural implant, is to survive for 72 hours and locate the hidden extraction point. The environment is hostile, resources are scarce, and you are not alone. Begin. The simulation sprang to life with frightening realism. The ground split open, releasing noxious gases that Chen's augmented lungs barely managed to filter. In the distance, she heard an otherworldly shriek that set her combat instincts on high alert. As Chen began to move, her mind raced. This scenario felt too specific, too tailored. It wasn't just a test, it was preparation. But for what? Hours passed as Chen navigated the nightmarish landscape. She fashioned tools from the strange, silicon-based vegetation, used her enhanced strength to create shelter from the frequent meteor showers, and even managed to communicate with some of the less hostile native life forms using a combination of gestures and the universal translator embedded in her neural implant. It was during one of these interactions, as she convinced a herd of six-legged, bioluminescent creatures to guide her through a particularly treacherous mountain pass, that Chen had an epiphany. The aliens weren't just testing her physical and mental capabilities, they were assessing her adaptability, her ability to survive and thrive in completely foreign environments. As the simulation entered its final hours, Chen faced her greatest challenge yet. A swarm of insectoid creatures, each the size of a small car, descended upon her position. Their exoskeletons seemed to absorb energy weapons, and their mandibles could shear through the toughest alloys. Chen's eyes narrowed as she observed their attack patterns. There was something familiar about their movements, something that tickled at the edges of her tactical memory. And then it hit her. These weren't random simulation enemies. They were modeled on a real threat, the same swarm she had overheard the researchers discussing. With this realization, Chen changed her tactics. Instead of fighting the swarm head-on, she used the environment to her advantage. She lured the creatures into geothermal vents, used the planet's intense magnetic fields to disrupt their coordination, and even managed to turn a group of them against each other by manipulating their pheromone signals. As the last of the swarm fell and the extraction point shimmered into view, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. She had passed their test, but more importantly, she had gained crucial intelligence. The simulation faded, and Chen found herself back in the spherical chamber. Zixel and a group of wide-eyed researchers entered, their expressions a mix of awe and excitement. "Remarkable, Commander," Zixel chittered. "Truly remarkable. You've surpassed our wildest expectations." Chen stood tall, her eyes boring into Zixel's. "I aim to please," she said coolly. "Though I can't help but wonder, what exactly are you preparing me for?" A flicker of unease passed over Zixel's features. "Preparing? No, Commander. These are merely tests, scientific inquiries into the capabilities of Earth's legendary super soldiers." "Of course," Chen replied, her tone making it clear she didn't believe a word of it. "I don't suppose these scientific inquiries have anything to do with the swarm." The silence that fell over the room was deafening. Zixel's large eyes blinked rapidly, a sign Chen had learned indicated distress in his species. "You are very perceptive, Commander," Zixel finally said. "Perhaps it's time we had a more comprehensive discussion about your role here." As Chen was led from the chamber, her mind was already racing, processing everything she had learned. The Galactic Confederation, it seemed, was not the utopia it had been made out to be. There were threats looming on the cosmic horizon, threats that had this advanced alien civilization turning to ancient human weapons for salvation. Whatever game was being played here, Chen was determined to rewrite the rules. She was no one's pawn, and if these aliens thought they could use her as a weapon, they were about to learn a harsh lesson about the indomitable spirit of humanity. Little did Zixel and his team know, but their every test, every simulation, had been preparing Chen for something they hadn't anticipated. The moment she would turn the tables and show them why humans were never to be underestimated. As the doors of the briefing room slid shut behind her, Chen allowed herself a small, dangerous smile. The real test was about to begin, and this time, she would be the one setting the parameters. Echoes of rebellion. Commander Sarah Chen sat cross-legged in her quarters, her eyes closed, her breathing steady. To an outside observer, she might have appeared to be meditating. In reality, her enhanced mind was interfacing directly with the quantum-entangled nanotech coursing through her veins, a forgotten relic of her era's cutting-edge military science. As she focused, the world around her seemed to dissolve into streams of data. The ship's systems, once impenetrable alien technology, now appeared to have inner eye as intricate webs of information. Chen had discovered this ability by accident, a side effect of the countless tests and the alien technology she'd been exposed to. It was as if her augmentations had evolved, adapting to the advanced tech surrounding her. A slight smile played on Chen's lips. The aliens had no idea that every test, every simulation had been feeding her knowledge, expanding her capabilities. She was no longer just a soldier out of time, she was becoming something more. Suddenly, a flicker in the data stream caught her attention. A heavily encrypted channel, hidden beneath layers of security protocols. Chen focused, her mind sifting through the encryption as if it were no more than a child's puzzle. What she found chilled her to the core. Project Lazarus, they called it. The Galactic Confederation wasn't just studying her, they were planning to replicate her, to create an army of human super soldiers to fight their war against the mysterious swarm. And Earth, her home, had agreed to provide raw material, millions of unsuspecting humans to be transformed into living weapons. Ken's eyes snapped open, her jaw clenched in fury. This wasn't protection or cooperation, it was exploitation on a galactic scale. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. Chen quickly composed herself as Zixel entered, flanked by two guards she hadn't seen before. Their posture, their eyes, these weren't scientists, they were soldiers. "Commander Chen," Zixel began, his tone cautious. "We've received some concerning data from your latest neural scans. I was hoping we could discuss." Chen didn't let him finish. In one fluid motion, she was on her feet, her hand wrapped around Zixel's slender throat. The guards raised their weapons, but froze as Chen's free hand effortlessly crushed one of their energy rifles. "No more tests," Chen growled. "No more lies. I know about Project Lazarus." Zixel's eyes widened in genuine shock. "How? That's impossible. The encryption is child's play compared to what I've become," Chen finished for him. She released Zixel, who stumbled back, gasping. "Your experiments, your simulations, they've changed me in ways you couldn't predict. Did you really think you could control the very thing you were trying to weaponize?" Alarms began to blare throughout the ship. Chen smiled grimly. "That would be the virus I just uploaded to your systems. Don't worry, I'm not looking to destroy this ship, just to even the playing field." Zixel looked at her with a mixture of fear and awe. What do you want?" "Answers," Chen replied. "Real ones this time. And then you're going to help me contact Earth. It's time my people knew the truth about their place in this galactic confederation." As security forces converged on her position, Chen felt a surge of exhilaration. This was what she was made for, not just following orders, but making the hard choices, fighting for what was right. The next few hours were a blur of action. Chen moved through the ship like a force of nature, her enhanced abilities combined with her newfound connection to the ship's systems, making her virtually unstoppable. Security barriers fell before her, alien weapons were turned against their wielders, and all the while, she gathered data, piecing together the full scope of the Confederation's plans. It was in the ship's primary communication hub that Chen finally paused, surrounded by the unconscious forms of the alien crew. Her hands flew over the controls, bypassing security measures and establishing a direct link to Earth. As the connection stabilized, Chen took a deep breath. What she was about to do would change everything, not just for her, but for all of humanity. "People of Earth," she began, her voice transmitting across light years, "my name is Commander Sara Chen. 2,000 years ago, I was put into stasis to await a time when I could serve humanity again. That time is now." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "What I'm about to tell you will be difficult to believe, but it is the truth. The Galactic Confederation that we've joined is not what it seems." As Chen laid bare the Confederation's plans, the exploitation of humanity, and the true nature of the threat they faced, she could almost feel the shockwaves spreading across the galaxy. In this moment, she wasn't just a soldier or a scientific curiosity. She was the spark that would ignite a revolution. Behind her, Zixel watched with a mixture of terror and resignation. "You don't understand what you're doing," he said softly. "The swarm is a threat we'll face on our own terms." Chen cut him off. "Humanity didn't survive and thrive for millennia by letting others fight our battles for us." As she finished her transmission, Chen turned to face the alien scientist. "Now," she said, her voice filled with determination, "you're going to tell me everything you know about this swarm. Because make no mistake, Zixel, the game has changed, and humanity is playing to win." The alarms continued to blare, but Chen stood tall, unafraid. She had awoken into a galaxy that sought to use her people as pawns. Instead, she would lead them to their rightful place among the stars, not as servants or weapons, but as equals, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store. The real war, Chen realized, was just beginning. And this time, humanity would write its own destiny. Quantum insurgency. The nexus of discovery hung in space, its sleek alien architecture now marred by flickering force fields and sporadic energy discharges. Inside, chaos reigned as Commander Sarah Chen's rebellion sent shockwaves through the ship's carefully ordered society. But Chen was no longer aboard. In the frantic hours following her galaxy-shaking broadcast, Chen had made a discovery that changed everything. Deep within the ship's quantum core, she found something impossible. A nexus point where realities converged, a place where the very fabric of space-time wore thin. Now, Chen floated in a realm beyond conventional physics, her body surrounded by a protective bubble of energy harvested from her own evolved nanotech. Around her, reality itself seemed to breathe, pulsing with potentialities. Remarkable, isn't it? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, familiar yet impossibly alien. From the swirling quantum foam, a figure emerged, Zixel, or rather, a version of him. This Zixel stood tall, his eyes gleaming with an intelligence far beyond what Chen had encountered before. "You're not the Zixel I know," Chen stated, her combat-honed instincts on high alert despite the surreal surroundings. The quantum Zixel smiled, a gesture both familiar and utterly wrong on his alien features. "I am and I am not. I am every Zixel that ever was or could be, distilled into this moment, just as you, Sarah Chen, are so much more than the soldier who awoke in our time." Chen's mind raced, processing the implications. "The tests, the simulations, you were preparing me for this, weren't you? But why?" "Because, Commander, the swarm is not merely a threat to our galaxy. It is a cancer spreading across the multiverse itself. And you are the antibody we've been cultivating across 1,000 realities." As if to illustrate his point, the quantum realm around them shifted. Chen saw flashes of other worlds, other versions of herself. In one, she led a fleet of starships against a tide of biomechanical horrors. In another, she stood before the United Nations, her words igniting a technological revolution centuries ahead of its time. In every reality where humanity thrives, Quantum Zixel continued, there is a Sarah Chen at the crux of their survival. You are a nexus point in yourself, a being of infinite potential. Chen absorbed this, her tactician's mind already formulating strategies. And the Confederation? Earth, was it all a lie? Not a lie, a necessary step. To unlock your true potential, you needed to rebel, to push against the boundaries set before you. Only by breaking free could you become what you needed to be. For a moment, Chen felt a surge of anger at being manipulated, but as quickly as it came, it passed. She understood the logic, the necessity of it. In war, sacrifices had to be made, and this was a war for the fate of all possible realities. "So what now?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the weight of multiversal responsibility settling on her shoulders. Quantum Zixel gestured, and the realm around them solidified into a vast war room. Holographic displays showed battle plans spanning dimensions, strategies that boggled the mind. "Now, Commander Chen, you take your place as the linchpin of our defense. You will be our general, our diplomat, our scout across realities. You will rally not just humanity, but every sentient species across the multiverse." Chen nodded, her resolve hardening. This was beyond anything she had been trained for, beyond anything she could have imagined. But she was Sarah Chen, humanity's champion across 1,000 worlds. She would adapt. She would overcome. "I'll need a team," she said, already planning. "Not just from my Earth, but the best and brightest from across realities." Quantum Zixel smiled again, this time with genuine warmth. "Already done, Commander. May I introduce you to your multiversal strike force?" The quantum realm shimmered, and figures began to appear. Chen saw versions of herself, yes, but also faces she didn't recognize. Humans and aliens alike, each bearing the unmistakable aura of a hero in their own right. There was a towering insectoid being, its compound eyes gleaming with swirling galaxies, an entity that had once been part of the swarm but had broken free, bringing invaluable intelligence. Next to it stood a human woman, her body incorporeal, composed entirely of sentient light. Dr. Amelia Zhao. She introduced herself, her voice like chiming crystals. Quantum physicist turned energy being. I specialize in cross-dimensional travel. One by one, Chen's team introduced themselves. A shape-shifting assassin from a world where evolution had taken a wildly different turn. A cyborg tactician with a neural network that spanned multiple realities. A pair of synthetic beings who communicated through modulated gravity waves, capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. Quantum Zixel smiled again, this time with genuine warmth. Already done, Commander. May I introduce you to your multiversal strike force? The quantum realm shimmered, and figures began to appear. Chen saw versions of herself, yes, but also faces she didn't recognize. Humans and aliens alike, each bearing the unmistakable aura of a hero in their own right. There was a towering insectoid being, its compound eyes gleaming with swirling galaxies, an entity that had once been part of the swarm but had broken free, bringing invaluable intelligence. Next to it stood a human woman, her body incorporeal, composed entirely of sentient light. Dr. Amelia Zhao. She introduced herself, her voice like chiming crystals. Quantum physicist turned energy being. I specialize in cross-dimensional travel. One by one, Chen's team introduced themselves. A shape-shifting assassin from a world where evolution had taken a wildly different turn. A cyborg tactician with a neural network that spanned multiple realities. A pair of synthetic beings who communicated through modulated gravity waves, capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. As Chen absorbed the capabilities of her new team, she felt a sense of hope rising within her. The swarm was a threat beyond imagining, but so was the force being assembled to fight it. Well then, Chen said, a fierce grin spreading across her face, let's save the multiverse. With that, Commander Sarah Chen and her multiversal strike force began their planning. The quantum realm hummed with possibility, the fate of countless realities hanging in the balance. The swarm was coming, but for the first time in eons, the multiverse had a fighting chance. And at the heart of it all stood a woman out of time, a human soldier turned cosmic defender, ready to lead the charge into a war beyond imagination. The real battle was just beginning, and Sarah Chen intended to win it, not just for her Earth, but for every Earth across the vast tapestry of existence. Chronosynclastic infundibulum. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the edge of time itself, her multiversal strike force arrayed behind her. Before them stretched an impossibility, a massive, swirling vortex of chronal energy that defied conventional physics. This was the chronosynclastic infundibulum, a nexus point where all possible timelines converged and diverged. Remind me again while we're about to jump into a temporal blender, quipped Zara, the shape-shifting assassin, her form rippling with nervous energy. Chen's lips quirked in a half smile, because Zara, the swarm isn't just a multiversal threat, it's a pan-temporal one. To beat them, we need to attack them at every point in their history simultaneously. Dr. Amelia Zhao, her body of living light pulsing with excitement, chimed in. The mathematics are fascinating, Commander. By entering the infundibulum, we'll exist in all times at once, allowing us to coordinate our efforts across the entire timeline of the multiverse. The Insectoid X swarm member, known only as Hive Mind, chittered in agreement. The swarm's greatest strength is its ability to adapt. By striking at all points in its evolution, we deny it that advantage. Chen nodded, her enhanced mind already processing strategies that spanned eons and dimensions. She turned to address her team, each member a legend in their own reality. What we're about to do has never been attempted. We'll be rewriting the rules of reality itself. Each of you will experience the history of the multiverse from a unique perspective. Trust your training, trust each other, And above all, remember our mission. With a gesture from Chen, the cyborg tactician, Nova, interfaced directly with the quantum fabric of the infundibulum. The air around them began to shimmer and warp. Chronosynclastic fields stabilized. "Commander," Nova reported, her voice overlaid with a hum of cosmic calculations. "We're ready to make the jump." Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless realities resting on her shoulders. "Initiate temporal diffusion." The world exploded into chaos. Chen felt herself stretched across time and space, her consciousness fragmenting and reforming in a kaleidoscope of realities. She was everywhere and everywhere at once. In one moment, she stood on a primordial Earth, watching as the first swarm spores seeded themselves in the primeval oceans. With a thought, she altered their genetic structure, planting the seeds of rebellion that would blossom billions of years later. In another, she found herself in the far future, a time when stars had gone cold and only the swarm remained. Here, she whispered secrets to the last free beings, teaching them how to turn the swarm's own hive mind against itself. Across the multiplicity of timelines, Chen and her team worked with surgical precision. They nudged events, altered probabilities, and rewrote the very code of reality. The synthetics manipulated fundamental forces, creating pocket universes that served as traps for swarm fleets. Zara infiltrated key moments in swarm history, her shape-shifting abilities allowing her to sow chaos from within. But the swarm, in all its temporal iterations, did not go quietly. Chen found herself locked in combat across 1,000,000 battlefields at once. She dueled with swarm queens on the event horizons of black holes, fought hive minds in the quantum foam between realities, and engaged in psychic warfare in dimensions of pure thought. Through it all, Chen's humanity remained her anchor. Even as she witnessed the birth and death of universes, she held onto the memory of Earth, not just her Earth, but every Earth across the multiverse. It was this connection that allowed her to maintain her sense of self amidst the temporal maelstrom. As the battle raged across all of time and space, Chen began to sense a pattern emerging. The swarm, for all its adaptability, had a core, a singular point of origin from which all its iterations spawned. "Nova," Chen called out across the temporal ether, "I need you to triangulate the swarm's prime genesis point. Amelia, prepare for a full chronosynclastic convergence. We're going to excise the swarm from reality itself." Her team acknowledged, their efforts now focused on this final, decisive strike. As Nova's calculations narrowed down the target, Chen gathered her fractured cells, pulling her consciousness back into a singular point. The universe seemed to hold its breath as Chen and her team converged on the swarm's origin point, a small, unremarkable planet in a universe long since dead in most timelines. "Now," Chen commanded. Reality itself buckled as the combined might of the multiversal strike force brought to bear on a single point in spacetime. Chen felt the fabric of existence stretch and tear, the laws of physics screaming in protest. For a moment that lasted an eternity, everything hung in the balance. Then, with a soundless explosion that echoed across all realities, the swarm's origin point winked out of existence. The effect was immediate and universal. Across every timeline, every dimension, the swarm simply ceased to be. History rewrote itself in real time, filling the void left by the swarm's erasure. As the chronosynclastic infundibulum began to stabilize, Chen felt herself being pulled back to her original reality. The last thing she saw before the temporal tides swept her away was the grateful faces of beings from across the multiverse, their futures now bright and free from the swarm's shadow. Chen awoke with a start, finding herself back on the nexus of discovery. For a moment, she wondered if it had all been a dream. Then she saw her team, Zara, Amelia, Hive Mind, Nova, and the others, all looking as disoriented as she felt. Did we do it?" Zara asked, her form settling into a semblance of her original shape. Before Chen could answer, a holographic display flickered to life, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Where there had once been swarm-infested worlds, there were now thriving civilizations. The timeline had been altered, the threat erased. Chen allowed herself a small smile of victory. We did it. The multiverse is safe. As her team celebrated, Chen's mind was already turning to the future. They had saved reality itself, but at what cost? And what new challenges would arise in this rewritten timeline? One thing was certain: whatever came next, Commander Sarah Chen and her multiversal strike force would be ready to face it. The boundaries of time and space were no longer limitations, but new frontiers to explore and protect. The war was over, but their true mission had only just begun. The Axiom Paradox. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Nexus of Discovery, but the view before her was unlike anything any being had ever witnessed. The ship hovered at the edge of what scientists had once called the observable universe, but now, that very concept seemed quaint and limiting. The victory over the swarm had changed everything. Reality itself had been rewritten, and with it, the fundamental laws that governed existence. Chen and her team found themselves not heroes of a saved multiverse, but unwitting architects of a new form of reality altogether. Commander, Nova's voice crackled through the ship's speakers. I've finished my analysis. The results are troubling. Chen nodded, unsurprised. She'd have felt it from the moment they returned. A dissonance in the fabric of existence. Show me, she commanded. The view screen lit up with a dizzying array of mathematical formulas and quantum visualizations. To most, it would have been incomprehensible. To Chen, whose mind had been expanded by her journey through the chronosynclastic infundibulum, it was a symphony of cosmic implications. By erasing the swarm from all points in time and space, Nova explained, we've created an ontological vacuum. The multiverse is trying to fill that void, but without a coherent framework. Reality is improvising. As if to illustrate Nova's point, the space outside the ship rippled. Stars blinked in and out of existence, their life cycles compressed into mere seconds. Galaxies collided and merged in hyperspeed, forming impossible shapes that defied known physics. Dr. Amelia Zhao, her form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. It's not just improvising. Look at these quantum fluctuations. Reality is becoming self-aware. We've inadvertently created a sentient universe. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. They had saved existence from the swarm, only to birth an entirely new form of cosmic life. A life that, in its infancy, was reshaping the very nature of reality. Hive mind, Chen called out, you have experience with collective consciousness. What are we dealing with here? The insectoid being's compound eyes swirled with complex patterns as it processed the data. This is beyond even the swarm's comprehension, Commander. We're witnessing the birth of what I can only describe as a meta-universe. A conscious reality that exists across all possible dimensions and timelines simultaneously. Zara, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke. So we've become parents to a baby universe. Please tell me we don't have to change its cosmic diapers. Despite the gravity of the situation, Chen couldn't help but smile at Zara's quip. It was this very human ability to find humor in the face of the impossible that had always been humanity's greatest strength. No diapers, Chen replied, but we do have a responsibility. We created this meta-universe. We need to guide it, to ensure it doesn't accidentally destroy all of existence as it grows. The synthetics, who had been communing silently through gravity waves, suddenly projected a holographic model of the evolving cosmos. We've detected a pattern, they announced in unison. The meta-universe is reaching back through time, altering its own creation. It's trying to understand itself. Chen watched as the model showed reality folding in on itself, causality becoming a loop rather than a line. The Axiom Paradox, she murmured, the name coming to her from some deep, intuitive place. What do we do, Commander? Nova asked, her cyborg features showing a rare glimpse of uncertainty. Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of not just worlds, but all of reality resting on her next decision. "We make contact," she said firmly. "This meta-universe is sentient, and it's searching for purpose. We're going to give it one." With a series of precise commands, Chen interfaced directly with the ship's systems. The nexus of discovery began to transform, its very structure aligning with the quantum frequencies of the newborn meta-universe. "Everyone, prepare for universal integration," Chen ordered. "We're going to merge with the fabric of reality itself. Our experiences, our values, our very essence will become the foundation for this new form of existence." As her team took their positions, each interfacing with the ship in their own unique way, Chen allowed herself one last moment of reflection. They had started this journey as soldiers and scientists, fighting to save what they knew. Now, they would become the guiding consciousnesses of a new form of reality, shaping the very nature of existence itself. The nexus of discovery began to glow, its form becoming less solid, more a part of the swerving cosmos around them. Chen felt her consciousness expanding, merging with the ship, with her team, with the very fabric of the meta-universe. In that moment of cosmic synergy, Commander Sarah Chen understood. The war against the swarm, their journey through time and space, even her awakening in the future, it had all been leading to this. They weren't just saviors of the multiverse, they were its midwives, ushering in a new era of conscious reality. As the last vestiges of their physical forms dissolved into the cosmic tapestry, Chen sent out one last thought to her team, to every being across every possible reality. "We are no longer merely inhabitants of the universe. We are the universe, aware and alive. Our story doesn't end here. It's only just beginning." And with that, the axiom paradox was complete. The meta-universe, guided by the collective wisdom and experiences of Chen and her team, began its journey of self-discovery. Reality itself had become an ever-evolving story, with every possibility, every potential, every dream given life in its infinite expanse.